Hey guys, PepperAmmy here. This week we are making a quiche, a nice non-bean related video this week. Now, you can of course use pre-made dough for this, but to make your own dough yourself, you only need 3 ingredients, 4 if you're going to count water. Now for the pastry, you want to put 175 grams of plain flour, 100 grams of cold diced butter into either a food processor or a large bowl. If mixing by hand, you want to mix until you have, you guessed it, breadcrumbs. Then you want to add in an egg yolk and mix together, and slowly add in some cold water a little at a time until your dough starts to come together and form into a ball. Now once your dough has combined, remove from the bowl or the food processor, wrap in some cling film and chill for around an hour. This is just going to make the butter chill down a little bit and make it a lot easier to roll out. Once chilled, you want to roll your dough out on a floured worktop until it is a bit larger than your planned quiche pan. Then carefully drape over your rolling pin to make it easier to lift, and then place over your flan pan and carefully tuck into the bottom of the pan. Then you want to gently press this into the sides as well and make sure it comes up a little bit above the edges. Then you want to trim any excess pastry off. Then set the excess pastry to one side and gently prick the base of the pastry with a fork. Next, you want to place in some tin foil or baking paper into the middle of the dish, and surprise, you want to fill it full of dry beans. That's right, 3 bean related videos in a row. Now personally, I used 500 grams of dried beans, but I would recommend going for at least a kilogram, or if you can, just get the little clay baking beans if you've got some of those sat in the back of your cupboard somewhere. I saw them at the shop and I can't find them anywhere now I was actually looking for them, but dry beans will work just fine. Then you want to bake it with the beans in the bottom for 15 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius or 390 Fahrenheit. Remove the foil and the beans. Now, if your pastry has puffed up a little bit, like mine did, as unfortunately I didn't use enough beans, you want to just gently deflate the high spots and patch any holes that may have formed whilst baking, and then bake for another 4 to 5 minutes until the bottom is crisped slightly. Now that's the pastry made. This pastry and tin can actually be made a day in advance before making your actual quiche. Now for the filling, you want to heat a small frying pan and fry 200 grams of bacon lardons for a few minutes. Drain off any fat and remove from the heat before they start to become crisp and too coloured. Then you want to remove them from the pan and set to one side, getting rid of as much of the fat as possible. Now you want to make your liquid filling. You want to beat 200 ml of crème fraîche, 200 ml of double cream. You can also use 200 grams in weight for both of these, as crème fraîche can be a little bit hard to get a good liquid reading on in a measuring jug. And then you want to add in 3 eggs. Then you want to whisk these until nice and smooth. Grate in some fresh nutmeg if you can, and then transfer into a jug to make it a lot easier to pour later on. Now next you want to dice 50 grams of a good cheese into cubes. Now you can use any cheese that you like, and then you just want to scatter that across the bottom of the pie tin, along with the fried lardons. Now if you want to add in some extra vegetables, you can add some leeks, some broccoli. Now I came across some nice looking reduced asparagus at the shop and some cherry tomatoes. Now if you want to add cherry tomatoes, I highly recommend slicing in half so you don't have scalding hot tomato water bombs in the middle of your quiche. Then you want to pour your cream mixture into the case until it's almost at the height of the top of the pastry. Then you want to top with any extras like I did with my asparagus and halved tomatoes. Then you want to carefully add more liquid until it is level with the pastry and bake for 25 minutes at 190 Celsius or 375 Fahrenheit. Now, the mix will rise slightly during cooking. This is of course completely fine as long as it doesn't leak over the side. Then you want to remove this from the oven once cooked and let the quiche settle back down for around 5 minutes before serving. This will also give your tomatoes a nice chance to cool down before serving. And there you have it, some homemade quiche, including the pastry if you did make that as well. Now if you do end up making this yourself, or if you've made quiche before, let me know down below what sort of fillings you have as a go-to. Now I personally do like a bit of spinach and ricotta in my quiche, but Charlotte's not a big fan of spinach, so we just went for the asparagus and tomato with some bacon and cheese this time around. And that wraps up this week's video. As always, if you like what you saw, let me know down below with a like and a comment. If you are indeed new here, feel free to subscribe for free weekly cooking content, and I will see you all again next week. Thanks for watching.